Hi, I'm Ashley, and today I'm here to talk to you about 1-point and 2-point perspective. Let's get started. So what is perspective? Why is it important? Perspective is how we portray something that is three-dimensional on a two-dimensional plane, such as our piece of paper. So it's how we show, let's say, this water bottle, how we make it look 3D. We use perspective. We're going to start off by drawing water bottles, though. We're going to start off with cubes. So first things first, when we're drawing, sometimes we have a tendency to create cubes, boxes, whatever you want to call them, but they can kind of look a little bit off. Sometimes it's really obvious what's off. Sometimes it's not quite as obvious what's off in our picture. If we learn and understand perspective, however, it can become a lot easier to understand what is wrong. We can go from drawing boxes that are warped to understanding the principles of perspective and how to draw boxes that look normal and that make us go, yeah, that's a box, instead of what the heck did I just do? So to start off with, we're going to talk about 1-point perspective. Now, as you can see here, I've already drawn out some stuff and labeled some stuff. We're going to go over how to do that in just a moment. But the most important thing is there's a few vocabulary lines that we need to know. One is a horizon line. A horizon line is just where the earth and the sky meet together. Along that horizon line, we have what's called a vanishing point. What that means is all objects within that field of view go back to that point. They're pointed in that direction, essentially. This helps us understand how to properly draw objects if we understand where our horizon line is, or our eye level. Oftentimes you could call it your eye level. If we understand where that is in our picture, we can start to create some much more successful pieces of art. To start off with, we're going to be doing, as I said, 1-point perspective. That means there's one vanishing point. That also means that we are seeing the box from the face of the box. For example, we're looking at this pencil box from this angle versus at an angle. We're looking at it from the front, not the corner. First things first, we're going to want at least a 2B pencil. I wouldn't go any darker than that for this. So first things first, we're going to draw a straight line to represent the eye level or horizon line, whichever you prefer to call it. The best way to draw a straight line is to make sure that these lines on our ruler, these little tick marks, sometimes people call them, match up with the sides of our paper. That seems like something super obvious that you should just know, but I have students all the time that draw these crazy crooked lines, and I'm like, I don't know how you are doing that, but stop. So here we go. This is our horizon line, or HL, horizon line. Okay, perfect. Then in the middle of our page, or anywhere on the page, it just looks better if we put it in the middle, but you could put it here or here, wherever you want to put it. We're going to drop that vanishing point, VP1. Sometimes it helps to label, because when you get to your vanishing point, your other perspective forms, it's going to be a lot better, trust me. Okay, the next step is to draw a 1x1 square. Okay. The next thing we're going to do, this is where it might get complicated, so pay attention. Each of these corners must go back to that vanishing point. Take each one and go straight back to that vanishing point. Straight lines again. Each of these lines is called an orthogonal line. All that is a fancy way of saying diagonal line that goes back to a vanishing point. They're called orthogonal lines. And they go back to our vanishing point. The next step is to decide where we want the back of our box to be. I'm going to pick right here. I'm going to draw a nice straight line go. And I can then draw a nice side-to-side line. And then down again. Meeting up that line that's back there. Make sure you line up right with those corners. There we go. And now we've got a nice box. Now if you want that box to look really good and like it's coming forward towards you, you can go in and actually darken the front of the box. You can darken all the lines on the box, but again, I'd use a ruler. You can also darken in our other lines as well. If you really want it to stand out, you can also make the lines thicker, which is kind of nice too. And just take your ruler up just a tad. You may choose to erase some of your diagonal lines too, and that is just fine. You're going to end up with a nice looking, perfectly drawn box. Okay, so that's 1 point perspective. Let's talk for 1 second about 2 point perspective. 2 point is still going to have an eye level and a horizon line. Unlike 1 point where there's only one vanishing point, you're going to end up with two, because again, that box is not being seen from this anymore. It's now being seen from this angle. Okay, so let's do a drawing with 2 point perspective. We're going to start by drawing out our eye level of horizon line. Whatever you choose to call it, they are one and the same. We are going to then add not one, but two vanishing points. Keep them far apart as possible. Some people will even go off the page. For today's video, you don't need to worry about that. So we've got our vanishing point 1, which we're going to label BP1, vanishing point 2, BP2. Then we're going to go ahead and create a 1-inch line. You can do that anywhere. I'm going to kind of go for in the middle of my page. So first things first, we need a line that goes from each of these points to vanishing point 1 and to vanishing point 2. So we're going to start at vanishing point 1 and over here, vanishing point 2. There we go. Lines going from each side. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to pick a spot for the back of the box. Just like in 1 point perspective, we just pick a spot to create that box. They go to the opposite side vanishing point. So if I draw a line on this side of my vanishing point 2, then the lines from those points will go to vanishing point 1. It's kind of like opposite day, opposite times. So for example, this point down here will now go back to vanishing point 1 to create the see-through bottom of that box. Okay, just like that. These 2 points now have lines that go back to there. So I did the top line going back to vanishing point 1. And we'll do this again in just a second with the other lines so that you get it all covered. And then right here in the back, we would draw a line. Now, again, there's a little bit of distortion that occurs in 2 point perspective. That's okay. Do your best to get a nice straight line on there. Again, we can go in and darken these lines and make them thicker if we want to. Again, I recommend using a ruler for all that. You may choose to erase those orthogonal lines if you so desire. It is up to you. I will not draw the inside of the box again because that would be see-through and wouldn't necessarily be as dark as the stuff that is not see-through. Okay, so one more time, let's go over how we do the 2-point box. Each of these points here is got to go back to my vanishing point 1. So I'm going to draw a line at the top and the bottom of this line. And over here as well. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is we'll want to take that and draw the back of our box. One line here, or one line for the other back of the box. And each of these 2 points now has to go to this vanishing point. Well, each of these 2 points will go to vanishing point 2. So start with vanishing point 1. There we go, another box. All right, that's all I have for you today. If you feel like you missed something, be sure to rewind the video, watch it as many times as you need to get caught up. To dive even further into this topic of perspective, make sure you join us in a live class. See you next time.